Superman was not created to entertain you. He was created to contain you. Chosen one, what I'm about to share may challenge everything you thought you knew, and I need you to hear me clearly before your mind tries to turn this into just a theory or just a story. Because if you're watching this right now, it's not by chance. You were led here on purpose, and what I'm about to reveal has nothing to do with nostalgia. It has nothing to do with comics. It has nothing to do with childhood entertainment. This is a revelation, because there's a reason a symbol like Superman became global. There's a reason that image landed in the human mind and never left. And once you understand what that symbol was really built to do, you're going to realize it was never only about a fictional hero. It was about a blueprint, and that blueprint has been following you your entire life. Superman was not created to entertain you. He was created to contain you. Because a symbol was built precisely because your blueprint is real, and the world has always done this when it senses a kind of power it cannot comfortably explain. It wraps it in a story, puts it in a costume, gives it a name, and calls it fiction so people can swallow it without panicking, so they can point at it and say that's just a character, instead of admitting it's a pattern that shows up in certain souls. They needed a safe mirror for what they couldn't name, a way to talk about a person who lives among the ordinary while refusing to be owned by it. Think about your own life. How many times you felt forced to dim yourself to keep the peace? How many times you carried more than you said? How many times you were tested to see if you would become bitter? In a moment, I'm going to connect this symbol to the sequence you've been living, and you'll see why the timing of this video is not an accident today. That's why the legend isn't just about strength. It's about hidden strength, the kind that learns to blend in, to smile, to be normal, while carrying a weight of responsibility that most people will never understand. It's about restraint, the power to break things, and the choice not to, the ability to see through corruption and still keep your heart clean, even when it would be easier to become cold. Before we go deeper, do 3 things for me right now. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and leave a comment with the number 11. 11 is not random. It's a signal, a marker for alignment. And if this message is truly meant for you, you'll feel that number land in your spirit instead of just reading it with your eyes. Stay with me, because the moment you see the pattern, you won't unsee it. And by the end of this, you'll understand why your life never felt normal, why you were pushed to hide parts of yourself, and why certain people reacted to you before they even knew you. There are stories that echo across generations for a reason. And it isn't because humanity is bored, it's because certain truths are too volatile to deliver raw, so they get wrapped in myth and handed down as just a story, until the right minds are ready to read between the lines. Civilizations don't just invent heroes, they invent containers for forces they can't control. Because when a rare kind of spirit shows up, the world can't admit what it's looking at. It can only symbolize it. That's why every age repeats the same archetypes: the savior, the villain, the saint, the monster, labels that keep people comfortable and keep power predictable. But gods and devils aren't the only archetypes, because there's something else people fear more than evil: a free soul, a person who can't be bribed by praise, threatened by rejection, or steered by guilt. A person who refuses the old binaries, good versus bad, light versus dark, obedient versus rebellious, and instead moves beyond their binaries, making choices from a deeper law inside. That kind of presence doesn't have to attack anything to be dangerous. It disrupts the spell just by existing, because it proves you can carry strength without becoming cruel. You can see darkness without joining it. You can hold power without worshiping power. It's why the myth always includes a mask and a double life. Because the world can handle hidden power as long as it stays on a page and not in the person standing right in front of them. They'll praise the cape and still punish the real thing. Because a free soul exposes everyone's chains without even trying. So the world turns that threat into entertainment, into posters, slogans, and a character everyone can point at. Because it's safer to cheer a symbol than to recognize the same pattern walking beside you in real life. And once you start noticing where your life matches that pattern, the story stops feeling like fiction and starts feeling like a mirror. Notice what Superman really is. It isn't just strength, it's power living among ordinary people, disguised, learning how to smile at small talk while carrying a weight nobody sees, learning how to look harmless in a world that punishes anything it can't control. That's the Clark Kent phase. And if you're honest, you've lived it. You've played smaller than you are. You've softened your edges. You've hidden your intensity. You've learned to translate yourself into something acceptable, just so you could move through life without constant confrontation. And people call that humility, but sometimes it's survival. Because the moment you reveal too much, the wrong people start testing you, provoking you, trying to find the button that makes you break your own code. The real reveal is this: he's not born to worship, and he's not born to serve. He's born to disturb false systems without becoming evil. Born to expose corruption without turning into the same thing he's fighting. Born to carry authority without needing a throne. That's why the story keeps repeating this idea of restraint, because the most terrifying power isn't the power to destroy, it's the power to destroy and still choose integrity. The world can handle a villain because villains are predictable. The world can handle a saint because saints stay quiet. But it doesn't know what to do with someone who sees the games and refuses to play, someone who can't be bought, someone who won't bend just to be liked. And that's why this symbol hit the world so hard, because it's your frequency in a safe costume. It's your blueprint packaged in a way the masses could celebrate without realizing they were cheering for the very thing they punish in real life. They'll clap for Superman and still label a real chosen one as intense, arrogant, weird, too much, too honest, too awake, because the costume makes the truth feel fictional. But when the truth shows up in a living person, it becomes uncomfortable. And if you've been in that hiding phase for years, if you've been pretending to be normal while carrying something you can't explain, that's not a mistake, that's the setup. Because every symbol has a moment where the disguise stops working. And the real question isn't whether you have power. The real question is whether you're ready to stop hiding it behind a version of yourself that was built only to survive. You feel alone in a crowd, but you know you're different. Not in an arrogant way, in a quiet way. Like you can play along for a minute, but your spirit never fully joins the room. Like you're listening for something underneath what everyone is saying. And that alone makes you look distant to people who only understand surface energy. You see the truth early, and you get misunderstood for it. Because you notice the shift before it becomes public. You sense the mask before it slips. You feel the motive behind the smile. And when you speak from that place, people don't call you perceptive. They call you negative, dramatic, paranoid, until time proves you right, and nobody wants to remember you warned them first. Injustice triggers you. You can't stay silent forever. You can try. You can tell yourself it's not your problem. You can promise yourself you'll keep the peace, but something inside you stands up on its own when something is wrong. And even if your voice shakes, even if it costs you, you'd rather be uncomfortable in truth than comfortable in a lie. Doors close hard in your life, not gently, not gradually they slam, plans collapse, people switch up, a path disappears, and right when you accept it, a door opens that makes no logical sense, a call, a message, an opportunity, a connection, something you didn't beg for, something you couldn't force, like reality itself rerouted you at the last second. And you're left thinking, how did that happen? Why now? Why that perfectly timed? And people react to you in extremes. Some feel drawn to you fast. They open up. They trust you, they soften, they tell you their secrets without knowing why, and others feel uncomfortable around you for no reason, irritated by your presence, threatened by your calm, because you don't even have to accuse them, you just reflect them, and that reflection is enough. If even one of those hit you, don't dismiss it, because that isn't you being weird, that's the pattern showing itself. And once you recognize it, you start realizing you weren't failing at being normal. You were surviving a hiding phase that was never meant to be permanent. This isn't about comics, it's about frequency, because the same story can land on two people and do two completely different things. One person watches it, shrugs, and moves on, because to them it's just entertainment, just a character, just a fantasy to kill time. But to someone else it doesn't feel like fiction at all. It feels like a mirror. It feels like a coded description of a life they've been living in silence. That's why you can't explain this to everyone. Because it isn't an intelligence thing, and it isn't a taste thing. It's resonance. It's whether your spirit recognizes the pattern underneath the costume. When a person is still asleep, they only see the cape, the powers, the fight scenes, the surface. But when a person is waking up, they see the double life, the restraint, the isolation, the moral pressure, the constant choice to stay clean in a world that rewards corruption. And if it's a mirror to you, if you felt that quiet hit in your chest like, wait, this is describing me, that's the code activating. That's the reason you're here right now. Because some messages don't reach you through facts. They reach you through recognition. And once recognition happens, your whole timeline starts making sense in reverse. If you've lived at least 3 of these, I want you to do something simple right now. Comment Superman or comment 11. Not for me. Not for hype, not to look cool in the comments, but for alignment, because when you name the pattern, you stop gaslighting yourself, you stop pretending it's all random, and you signal to your own spirit that you're ready to see what you've been avoiding. This is exactly why this truth gets pushed down without anyone needing to announce a conspiracy. Because the moment you understand yourself, manipulation ends. And that's not mystical, that's practical. People are easier to control when they don't know what they carry, when they mistake their discernment for anxiety, their restraint for fear, their isolation for failure, when they keep asking what's wrong with me instead of asking, what am I being positioned for? The world can handle power that is loud and reckless because loud power is predictable. It can be baited, bought, provoked, trapped, but a person who is awake and self-aware is different. Because you stop responding on command, you stop chasing approval, you stop shrinking to keep other people comfortable. And when someone like you wakes up, it doesn't just change your life, it changes the order around you. It shifts the room. It exposes the unspoken rules people were using to manage you. And once you see that, you start understanding the pushback you've experienced without turning it into paranoia. Because resistance always shows up when a pattern is about to become conscious. That's why the delays weren't random. The way things stalled right when you were about to move forward. The way momentum got interrupted at the exact wrong time. That's why misunderstandings felt scripted. Like people decided who you were before they knew you. Like your intentions were always being translated into the worst possible version. They tried to make your story normal, to reduce you to a label, to turn your depth into drama, your honesty into arrogance, your silence into weakness. Because if they can make you believe you're just another person with bad luck and a complicated personality, you'll keep living small. But this blueprint was never written for normal cycles. And that's why your life refuses to stay in the lanes that work for everybody else. And now you can finally reinterpret what's been happening to you without calling it random or bad luck. Because protection doesn't always look like a bright miracle. Sometimes it looks like reality quietly shifting to keep you in position. Some problems didn't resolve because you suddenly got lucky. They resolved because you got rerouted. You were moved out of the wrong place at the right time. You were redirected before the impact could land. And later you look back and realize you missed something by seconds, by inches, by a decision you didn't even understand in the moment. Some people leaving wasn't loss. It was removal. It was clearing. It was the kind of separation that hurts your heart, but saves your future, because certain connections can't follow you into the next chapter, and their absence is actually a form of mercy. Some doors opening by themselves wasn't coincidence. It was intervention, timing too precise to be accidental, opportunities showing up when you were out of options, solutions arriving in ways you couldn't force, like the path was being cleared in front of you one step at a time. And you felt it covered, timed, spared, even when you couldn't prove it to anyone else. And this is where the deeper mark comes in, because you're not just lucky, you're marked as a witness. And a witness doesn't exist for comfort. A witness exists for record, for truth, for completion. Witnesses get pressured, yes, because anyone who carries truth threatens whatever is built on lies. But witnesses also get preserved, because the story has to be completed, because you're not meant to disappear in the middle of your transformation. You're meant to make it through the hiding phase and still be standing with clarity on the other side. And this is where your role begins, not in a dramatic way, not with fireworks, but with a shift in how you move through the world, because you're not here to be liked, you're here to be aligned. And there is a difference. When you're chasing being liked, you edit yourself, you negotiate your truth, you soften what you know, you trade clarity for comfort. But when you choose alignment, you stop performing and you start responding to something deeper inside you. That's why the signals will start getting clearer. Not because you're becoming more spiritual, but because you're becoming more honest, and honesty sharpens perception. You'll notice it in dreams that feel like they have weight, in synchronicities that repeat until you can't ignore them, in that inner pressure that shows up at the exact moment you're tempted to stay silent or to settle. You'll feel the pull to act with integrity, even when it costs you, to choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong. And every time you do, the blueprint strengthens, not as an idea, as a reality. Because your choices teach your life what kind of person you are, and reality starts organizing around what you consistently choose. And don't be surprised by how people respond as this becomes visible, because this is where the community line forms around you. Some will love you because something in them remembers. They recognize the frequency. They've been starving for something real, and your presence feels like clarity. Some will resist you because you become a mirror, and mirrors don't attack anyone. They only reveal, and anybody committed to a mask will feel uncomfortable around someone who doesn't need one. That's not a flaw in you. That's the line your life has always carried. The line between people who want truth and people who want control. And the more aligned you become, the clearer that line gets. I'm going to show you how to read it without getting lost. Because the truth is, you don't need to memorize lore. You don't need to argue about interpretations. You just need the method, the filter that turns a story into a mirror. 3 keys, 3 words. And if you remember nothing else, remember this: witness, light, voice. Witness means you ask yourself, where in my life have I been forced to see what other people deny? Where have I noticed the pattern while everyone else stayed asleep? Where have I been the one who could feel the truth before it was safe to say it? Light means you ask, what part of me refuses corruption? What part of me won't become cruel just because the world is cruel? What part of me keeps choosing integrity even when it would be easier to numb out? Voice means you ask, what truth keeps rising in me even when I try to silence it? What message keeps returning? What am I being pushed to say or do that I can't shake even when I want a quiet life? And the real question is this: where are you right now? Are you in the witness phase where you're watching and learning? Are you in the light phase where you're being purified and separated? Or are you in the voice phase where you're being pressed to step forward and stop hiding? If you want to go deeper, for those who want to deepen, there's exclusive material in the description and pinned comment, a short guide, an audio version you can listen to like a private briefing, and a mini meditation to sharpen discernment, priced less than a pizza, built to help you read this code in one clear sitting without spiraling. And if you know this was about you, comment 777, not for attention, but to mark alignment, and send this to one witness friend who always felt different but never had the words, because witnesses aren't meant to walk alone. And before you leave, click the video on your screen, because that's where I break down why people misunderstand you so fast, why certain reactions happen before you even speak, and how to stop taking it personally so you can stay aligned and move forward without shrinking.